I never thought we'd see the day where Neco Arc would save Type Lumina. Type Lumina has just received its biggest patch to date with 2 brand new characters, 2 new stages, a couple of new music tracks, and the biggest balance patch we've seen since launch. Starting off with the characters, Neco Arc and Mash are the 2 new characters. Neco Arc, of course, from Tsukihime, and Mash from Fate Go. For Neco Arc, the developers really had a challenge on their hands because Neco Arc's always been kind of a garbage joke character that's just there to be funny, not very viable. And in this day and age with fighting games, you can't really have a character like that because people will feel like it's a waste of a slot. After seeing people play her and giving her a shot myself, doing her combo trials, while Neco Arc might have glaring weaknesses, she is definitely a character you can win with if you put the time in, and if you're a character specialist, you can definitely do some pretty cool stuff with Neco Arc. Some of the moves they gave her are actually pretty good and aren't bad just to be bad because funny. The one that immediately comes to mind is one of her summons. She can have another Neco Arc pull a tire, and that tire is a hitbox, and it stays on the screen for a really long time. And she could summon Saber, or black keys, or get recovery items, or even summon a streaming setup, which is just some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen a fighting game character do. So, like I said, while she's not obviously going to be the most powerful character in the game, top tier, if you put the time in with her, you can succeed. As for Mash, not very enthusiastic about Mash. I'm not saying that she's a bad character. She has a interesting moveset, very Captain America from Marvel vs. Capcom-esque. I have not read Fate yet. I just haven't gotten around to it, and because I haven't read Fate, obviously I can't do anything with Fate Go, because that'd be kind of like watching Star Wars Episode 1 and then skipping to Star Wars Episode 8. It would make no sense. But she's pretty cool. I played against a couple Mashes online. She seems pretty solid, just not the character for me. Next up is the brand new story content. Now, with every DLC character, they get their own story in story mode, but French Bread has done something unprecedented I've seen in fighting game updates, where they went back into the story mode and they added cutscenes. So, say if you go back and you play Shiki's story mode, that now has cutscenes with sprites and everything. It's not just text. And it really adds to the presentation of this story mode and makes it a lot more fun to, watch, because instead of reading text like a visual novel, you're watching the sprites do the stuff that's being described in the text. They also added Boss Rush 2, and compared to the first Boss Rush, I think the first Boss Rush was a little bit better, but I did like the story scenario. A little fun fact about the story scenario is that they talked about having this scenario for the original Boss Rush, where Noelle teams up with Shiki and she fights a bunch of people, and they just were like, alright, well, we have this great idea, let's implement it, and let's make the final boss of the Boss Rush Nania. Yeah, Boss Rush 1 had Shiki with Nania moves, but this is, they completely did new voice acting for the character. He has special interactions with certain characters like Koma. It really, really, really makes me want to see Nania as the next DLC character, because with what they've done with other characters like Roa, like Arcuade, like CL, I want to see the Type Lumina version of Nania with just some absolutely crazy stuff. I'm going to make my prediction now. The next 2 DLC characters are going to be Nania Shiki and Len. Why? Because I think the 2 would fit together. It kind of makes sense. They did Neco Arc and Mash because Neco Arc brings Mash to the Melty Blood universe. So it kind of makes sense. Nania and Len, both dream related. It would be cool, and having Len in the game isn't out of the realm of possibility, If not those 2 characters, I definitely expect a character from Aoko's visual novel, since the next batch of characters are set to release in winter. The remake of Aoko's visual novel, or the remaster of her visual novel, is coming out in December with an English translation. So if you want to get on that, you heard it here first. And I think those 2 options would make the most sense, but Nania and Len would be my dream picks right there. Now we're going to talk about the biggest part of the patch itself. And before I talk about any characters, I want to talk about 2 changes they made that fans have been clamoring for. 1, the ability to turn off auto combos. So many people have wanted this. I've heard people in my comments section ask for this. You can either turn them off, or you can have them be on the A+B macro so you don't lose out on combos. So now, if you don't want auto combos, you don't have to have them, which is a pretty big deal because when the game came out, they said they weren't going to let us turn them off, so I guess they just listened to the people's request and are like, alright, you know what? We wanted to keep them on, but if you really want them off, you can turn them off, and I think that's just amazing. The second thing that's amazing is the changes to shield. Now, if a certain button hits a crouching shield, no longer will it activate shield. It will now put them in a blocking state, and it will give them a ton of chip damage. And this isn't necessarily what people were suggesting. I know a lot of people in the first shield nerf video I did, they were saying, well, just let mids beat low shield, and this is a step in that direction. Obviously, they don't want people to get blown up for getting their low shield hit like that, so it's not going to lead to a combo, but it's going to keep you in block stun. It legitimizes Okizeme a lot more, and now you're going to have to block certain things instead of trying to shield mash out, because, well, hey, you low shielded, you're not going to get punished, but now you have to block. You're being forced to block, and I think that's a very healthy thing for this game. Another healthy thing for this game is they updated the way movement works. You can now dash block, movement's a lot faster. Another great change. With every change they're making here, the game feels more and more like a classic Melty Blood, and I'm all for that. Oh, and speaking of old Melty Blood, all the other changes out the window. My absolute favorite change to the battle system they made. They put a damage indicator in the game, so now you know how much damage each combo is doing. And oh my god, this was like my most wanted feature, strangely enough, because I always loved seeing the damage indicator in old Melty Blood, and now it's back, and now I actually know how much damage my combos are doing, and without having to go into training mode when I'm playing the game, I could see, well, this combo gives me better wake-up options, but this combo gives me better damage, and I can absorb that information about my character and my opponent's character without having to lab it out in training mode. It just saves a bunch of time, and I like seeing the big numbers. It's very soothing to me. Yeah. Buffs and nerfs coming up next. The patch was mostly buffs. The only characters I feel like really got nerfed pretty bad, or in ways, was CL, Kohaku, and Maids. Other than that, they just keep buffing characters. Arcoade, for like the 4th time in a row, gets nothing but buffs. They buffed Roa, they buffed Vlav, they really buffed everyone. And, oh, I should talk about this, I almost forgot. They added a bunch of new moves for characters. For example, Akiha, she can now make her wheel go backwards, which I really think is interesting. I don't play Akiha, but I like that option is there. Roa got a new, jumping down C, which I believe is a move from one of his older versions. It is the dedicated Yahoo button now, because every time you press it in the air, he goes Yahoo! So he's turning into Mario more and more every day. While the new tools don't shake anything up, I really appreciate them adding new tools to the cast. It just makes everything feel a lot fresher. This patch is the epitome of the developer listening to the community. So many of these little small changes with characters and shield and movement have been things people have been requesting. And they listened, which is bizarre because normally for a fighting game patch, they don't listen at all. I can't really think of the last time I've had a game where it's just like, okay, so mostly what everyone wanted, yeah, we'll put it in. Melty Blood Type Lumina couldn't be in a better state. If the game launched in this state, it would have definitely been in a much better place, but, you know, better late than never. Lumina's foundation keeps getting solider and solider, turning into a much better game, and that's one of the strong points of being in this era where we can just update our games. You know, we can update them, and now launch Lumina is like a whole nother beast compared to what we have now. And just thinking towards the future, I'm excited. Overall, I can confidently say this patch is the best patch Lumina has ever received, and I'm extremely satisfied with it. What do you guys think, though? Do you enjoy the patch? Are you picking the game back up? Do you like the shield changes? Did your character get buffed? Did your character get nerfed? I play Shiki, so that buff to the light version of his little knife slash, now it crumples on standing hit. Really cool little change. Didn't really want that, didn't know I wanted that, but hey, I'll take it. And yeah, that's really it. I've got nothing more to say. If you haven't picked up this game, now is the best time to pick it up. The netcode is great. We have a lot of great characters. All of the characters are free. Neco Arc is in the game. I know a lot of you love the little Neco Arc. And not only is there one Neco Arc, there's two Neco Arcs. And not only are there two Neco Arcs, there are three Neco Arcs. And not only are there three Neco Arcs, but there are actually 5 Neco Arcs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 5 Neco Arcs, free, all included with the purchase of this amazing game. So what are you waiting for? Play Type Lumina. Alright, I've rambled enough. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Like always, thanks for watching, and goodbye.